Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Well, no, it's only man here because Bitcoin. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. Anyone could build on Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin's been online 100% for the past decade.
Wait, last 12 years.
It's been online for the past decade. And in the early days, a lot of the developer focus has been on like really hardcore protocol level stuff. A few years ago, the spec for this thing called the Lightning Network came out. And then this is a layer 2 solution, as you guys know. And again, a lot of that protocol had to be now developed. So before the applications and all the cool things get built on, you know, the Bitcoin stack, a lot of the foundational work was put in to make sure everything is like really sturdy. So we're about 14 years or so since the initial network was launched, since the Genesis block. And still, we have most of the applications, the ways that people are using Bitcoin, this transformative technology, which is supposed to be the underlying monetary value transfer system for the internet itself. We still have wallets with a basic send receive button. These are the majority of Bitcoin applications that we have. There's a couple multi-sig wallets, right? Multi-sig is like a joint account, as you guys know. I don't need to say it to you. But how many of you guys have used a multi-sig wallet? You've used a multi-sig? One? Yeah, multi-sig? Yeah? Okay, we have one there. Okay, so a little less than half. And this is a pretty technical OG crowd that we got here. So why is that then? Why is that? Why are the interfaces into Bitcoin, why are they so lacking? You know, why isn't it something that your mom could be feel like she could use like super easily? Why do we still have to talk about after 14 years? Why are we still talking about designing experiences that's good enough for grandma and mom, right? Why are we not able to interact on all these different websites? Everyone's using Twitter and all these. Why aren't we able to interact with content and stuff with money, right? With Bitcoin. So things right now are changing. The landscape's changing. As I mentioned, the foundations are there now. And there's a few primitives like Code Testing has in his book, like LNURL. Do you guys know about LNURL? Do you know LNURL? No? Ellen? Yeah, you guys? Marco, you know? Yeah? So it's LNURL. This one was like really cool because what it allowed is some cool other abstractions to be done. Like, for example, you could have this, with LNURL Pay, you could like generate an invoice on your node through a HTTP request, right? So that means that if you have this HTTP server running, then your node, and it's connected to your node, you can just keep generating these invoices. And what people decided to do with that is to create this thing called Lightning Address, which is like, hey, here's this human readable identifier that I could send you. I could type it in really easily. I could tell you on the phone. I could print it out, and it's a static thing. And then now I could, you know, request an invoice from you and pay you directly. So this was pretty cool. But there's other parts of the LNURL spec that, you know, doesn't get as much love. For example, there's LNURL channel, which allows you to quickly scan and open up a channel with somebody. There's LNURL withdraw, which allows you to kind of like have a static code that allows you to actually redeem funds from your wallet, from the service provider. So it could be used kind of like for a refunding system or something like that, right? Some people actually use this for, you know, giving out vouchers. And the Bolt card, is this NFC, using the same primitive, right? You could put it onto a card and you could tap, right? And it's able to withdraw money from your node. Obviously, you're setting some limits and stuff like that, but we need to have some nice dashboards for that, right? So that's an opportunity. If you're a web dev, you could create some nice dashboards for, you know, managing these cards or managing these withdrawal links and stuff like this. I spoke about social networking as well. There's this movement about called value for value, right? Being able to, if you provide value as a content creator, right, in the content that you're publishing, then maybe your audience wants to give you that value back. So instead of pressing a like button and it does nothing but just like increment something in a database, someone could zap you some money. So this has become popular since Twitter and the other social networks aren't really implementing these things yet. There's a social networking protocol, platform, whatever you want to call it, called Nostr. And now Bitcoiners are able to kind of like use that as their own playground, right? So there's zaps. I think I saw it like 12 million 12 Bitcoin in the past month has been flowing through the Nostr social network, basically. So zaps are all public thing, and that's like one of the cool things about Nostr. Exactly. So you have like an aggregator on top of Nostr for all the relays, and you're able to just like pull all the data into some database and do some metrics on it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not going to be precise because there are going to be some private relays, there's going to be some ones that aren't available, but it's a good summation at least for something as large and as global as Nostr. What's up? And you could fake zaps as well, but let's not talk about this right now because then you're going to kill my... Right, so we have like a lot of like very cool components, right? I spoke about multi-sig, right? One of the problems with multi-signature user experience is that there's not a very good way to coordinate the signing of a transaction, right? So typically what you'd have to do, you get these bytes of PSBT and of a transaction, and then you send it to your other party, and then they over email, and then they sign it, and etc., etc. But when we start combining some of these technologies together, whether it's Nostr and PSBTs and whatever else, then you start getting a very interesting opportunity for better user experience, right? Through the Nostr network, through encrypted communication, you can now coordinate that multi-signature experience, right? But we need people to build this, and that's ultimately what I'm trying to ask you guys. Like, we're here in Belgrade. There's amazing technology talent here. A lot of that gets outsourced overseas, which is fine. I'm from a place where, you know, we export most of our stuff as well, experiences specifically. So the talent is here. We have some amazing people sharing their knowledge, doing amazing things in the space. Maybe it's a traditional tech, but I would like to implore you, implore? Is it implore? Implore? Implore. I would like to implore you to really take a look at some of these primitives, maybe read Code Testing's book on it. Attend hackathons that we're doing, try to like dive into the building space of Bitcoin and see how you could create maybe some local solutions or solutions for that you care about, whether it's multi-sig, whether it's whatever else, you know, whether it's a social network, whether it's, you know, app for Serbia, to peer-to-peer communities, shared buzzwords. That's what I'm saying right now. But I'm encouraging you to build. And if you feel like you don't have the technical skills to do that, there's other communities for you to be part of as well. So there's a product manager community. You could contribute to writing documentation. Since Arvinda came here, we actually have Serbian and dinar in the Galoy app. And I think that's really great, right? There's actually it's not that widespread to have dinar and Cyrillic Serbian in these applications. So I think that's really great for like hopefully for you guys to see like, hey, we're represented in the global space of this industry. And yeah, I just think it's time for us to set our mark down here in Serbia, show what the hub can do, show what people here can do, and yeah, come build. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help out. This is Serbia. This is Serbia. What else? What else to say? But yeah, it's an exciting space to be in. And yeah, if you need any questions or if you have any questions or whatever, happy to help out, mentor, whatever it is. Yeah. Mic drop. Any questions? We come up with some ideas if you'd like. Do you guys have any ideas of stuff that you would want to build in the space? Or you think that the space should have? I'm looking at you. No? Pav, what?
You think Nostr as a protocol has some role to play in some like geographical location specific? Because now it's like very much like a giant thing. What do you see on top of Nostr that can, like I know recently there was this, what was it called, Pro Shop or Web Shop?
Yeah, the marketplace, yeah.
Like on top of Nostr.
That's a very good point. I'm going to have to add a slide for that.
Some niches that can be filled on top of Nostr?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's a great example. Okay. So thinking about Nostr beyond just social networking, right? You have like this global communication kind of feed that you're able to host yourself, and it has like some monetary value transfer mechanism built into it. Okay. What else can you do with that? Marketplaces are a great example of that. Now, for such things, if you want to distribute your content or products over the Nostr network, you can do that. But you can also build like for a private community as well. So there's this idea of private relays that you have to pay or do something to get accepted or to join this kind of relay. So we, for example, could set up a Nostr relay for the Belgrade Bitcoin Hub, right? And in that relay, we could have our shop stuff in there, and maybe only people in that community that have been granted access to the Telegram or whatever else, however you want to like gatekeep that. Only those people are able to, you know, publish or interact with the data or some stuff like this. So you can think of it beyond just like a global social network. You could actually make it for like a small group, but you're still using those primitives. And the good thing about that as well is like if you want to reach out into the wider the wider feed, you're able to push out because you're speaking the same language ultimately.
What do you think like is the biggest barrier for developers in Bitcoin? That if I'm a new developer, where should I start?
So yeah, Pav, what's the biggest barrier for developers coming into the space? I think it's most likely a mental barrier right now. So the culture within Bitcoin development and the reality was that things are very technical. You know, things are very protocol. To build stuff on Bitcoin, you have to be a protocol developer. And I just heard about this recently. Actually, someone said it's like, oh, I don't know too much about the protocol, and so I have to learn that before I'm able to build something. And that's not true. We're at the level where we have so much abstractions now. So it's an old narrative that, you know, you have to be this hardcore C++ developer or maybe Rust developer in order to be able to contribute. That's not the case. If you're a web developer, you know, a bit of JavaScript, Clojure, whatever language you use, you're able to interact with all these like abstractions that have now came available after those 14 years. And the great thing is that the foundations are so solid now. Right? Obviously, there's still things to work out, you know, but a lot of these things are opportunities on the UX layer, right? So if you want to build applications and stuff, that's like the perfect time to do that, to solve some of these problems. Yeah, so it's a mental thing about like, you know, what was possible in Bitcoin before. You know, it's not so expressive, it's boring, it's slow. Those are features, not bugs, but it is very expressive though. It's very expressive.
How do you use AI to improve
How do you use AI to improve
Bitcoin UX?
Bitcoin UX? So as you, maybe some of you guys who've seen me in the hub, I'm speaking into my phone the entire time. So I use dictation on the iPhone, giving all my voice to Apple. And I'm a big fan of ChatGPT. And so dictating into ChatGPT is like amazing. So the question is like how to use AI to improve Bitcoin UX. So I think taking a step back, the whole AI field to begin with is a very interesting one because most of the services that are being deployed right now, they're all, most of them are getting paid for, right? People have to pay to use them. There's some freemium models, but for the first time, like the user has more of an expectation to pay than before. Like, you know, we use social media and stuff like that. We use it for free, right? But now you're actually having to pay for these computations, right? And there's massive amount of computations to be done. So it's like the companies can't just give it out completely for free, right? And the paid version is so much better that you actually want to pay for it now, right? So that's a very good case for having like a global payment system, money of the internet, in order to provide equal access to everyone wherever they are to these models and tools and stuff like that, because you know it should be for everyone, not just people with credit cards, right? So that's one. Everyone who has money. To everyone who has money. Everyone who has money. That's fair enough. Fair enough. Right? So now, what does the user experience look like when you know all your APIs are getting paid for via Bitcoin? You know, there's this 402 payment code. There's a status code in HTTP that was never used. It's called 402. And there's some initiatives now to kind of like build a stack that hooks on Bitcoin into this 402 payment spec. So that's one way of like machines paying themselves, right? But then for the end user, what does that look like? So with AI, I think AI mixed with voice, and there's so much advancement with Whisper. There's text-to-speech stuff, speech-to-text, and I think it's text-to-speech as well. The way we interact with computers, just in general, is going to really transform in the next 5 to 10 years, I think, right? So whereby now I'm still like pressing a button to dictate. Who knows what it's going to look like? How much buttons are we going to be pressing to begin with, right? If I want to set an alarm or like 10 alarms because like today I didn't wake up on time, so I have to set I should have set alarms. Usually what I do, I say, hey Siri, set an alarm for this time. Hey Siri, set an alarm for that time. Instead of manually going through an input and a form to do each of them, it's just mad. I just talk to Siri and it's done so much faster. So what does that look like for, you know, on an iPhone or an Android phone, upscaled one? What does the interaction of Bitcoin look like? I'm not really sure. But you know, maybe we could play around with some of those experiences. I've seen some examples of like channel and node management being done through AI stuff as well. It's obviously you know, a little gimmicky at the moment, but we need to kind of like explore those gimmicks until we figure out like what's actually practical. But yeah, you have this whole language model that's able to like translate some instructions into something else. What does the UI look like with that? I don't know. It's going to be interesting though. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, maybe it's not buttons though. It's probably not buttons. Let's not do buttons. Yeah. Well, I mean, React Native devs can still play a part of it because for now it'll still be mobile applications.
The node management stuff, would that be AI or would that just be like set thresholds or something? Like if fees drop below like a 30-day average, close my channel and open to another channel that's done like
yeah, exactly.
Fees and
yeah. So one project that I worked on, it's kind of like Zapier for node management, right? Where you can set up like on this node or in this channel, when this happens, do this, right? And it's all like Zapier, if you guys have used, if this then that. It's kind of like, it's visual, but it's kind of like programmatic still, right? It's still like a block there, if this happens, if that happens. What is that? How does that get improved with something like these GPT models? It's that you're talking to it in more natural language. Things that your mom would probably be able to say, like, hey, I want X, Y, and Z. I want to open up a joint account with, my 2 sons, right? Instead of trying to configure a multi-sig with a whole bunch of scripts and nunchuck and whatever else, right? Maybe it's just talking to it in a bit more natural language. Maybe before we get to the writing out part, maybe you want to be a bit more explicit with the instructions that you're able to input, and you just provide like some other abstraction on top of the GPU. I'm going a little off there on like, yeah, probably need a whiteboard or something to map that out, but it's effectively taking natural language and turning it into some type of instructions, and something for node management could be super cool like that as well. Yeah. But yeah, that's it.
One more question, just finally, like, what's your advice for Serbian kids that are programmers who want to get into Bitcoin design space?
What's the best way for Serbian kids, students to get in? Well, I'm going to check out this book by code testing there. I think that would be cool. I saw some of the chapters. It seemed kind of cool. Some other ways, like if you want to interact with the global space of developers, there's a bunch of different communities you can start off in. For example, Bolt.fun, check it out. You can check out Bolt.fun. You could also check out Bitcoin Design if you're more on the design side, or if you're on like the UI layer of the applications. Check out Bitcoin Design. There's a bunch of resources and great information for application developers. Where else is there? There's a Belgrade Bitcoin Hub, if you're in Belgrade, I think one of the things that I didn't have growing up where in the Caribbean was a sense of community. And we have like some really amazing people from the industry here. I'm not going to dox everyone, but yeah, we have some amazing people in the industry. We have people coming in from overseas sharing their knowledge, like Arvinda's done for the past few weeks. So, getting involved in the local community here, coming to the meetups, hopefully with less rakia. Or just coming into the space. Tuesdays and Thursdays, at least for now, to be able to, talk to people and just shoot the shit. And I think that's where it starts, being able to have conversations with people about what is it you want to do and stuff like that. What is there available, and where do you want to go in that career path and stuff, So yeah, join communities basically. Maybe stay away from Bitcoin Twitter. Yeah. Go on Nostr. Nostr is a good place too. There's developers on Nostr. All right, thank you.